Hello, lovely listeners and royal cocks. Welcome to another episode of Loss of Lieutenant. Tonight we're going to be talking about our N5 wish list, hopefully before N5 spoilers do start dropping this week. My name is Jordan. I'm joined by my other lovely hosts this evening.
Nick?
And Tristan.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Hell yeah. Looking forward to it. But before we get into the exciting ideas that we have for N5, our various pleas to CB, we'll get to that later. We do have some housekeeping stuff to take care of with our new Loss of Lieutenant Quarterly Challenge, N5 edition.
We love it.
Absolutely. So the first part of the challenge is going to be the N5 wish list. Send us your ideas for how you would improve the game. How would you change guided, martial arts, fire teams? What pleas do you have to CB? What profile do you desperately not want cut from a faction? There is a correct answer to this question. What ideas for new skills, new weapons, and new profiles do you have with 2 new sectorals and a promise of, I believe, 5 to 6 new profiles per faction?
On average, yeah.
On average, there is a whole bunch of new stuff coming, and we're excited to hear what you guys have to say about that. And along with that, the other second part of our quarterly challenge is a N5 First Impressions. We're looking for battle reports of your first games of N5, battle reports after a few games of N5, and the most creative uses you found for the models from Sandtrap, which I personally think are some of the best new models that we've had in a long time. The Fennec Fusiliers look so fucking good.
Yep.
Yeah, please send all those submissions to lossoflieutenant@gmail.com.
We love it. Anything else to add? This was when it comes down to it, just send us your thoughts on N5. We're really interested in getting people's first impressions of N5 because, you know, we're an isolated meta and we'd love to hear from other metas around the world.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, moving on, we have our upcoming events. Like last time, we have Operation. It was First Contact N5. It's now Last Contact N4. November 16th, Kensington Town Hall, Wargaming Convention. The missions are announced. They are Unmasking, Countermeasures, and Armory. They are still sold out, so you can go on a waiting list if you want by talking to myself or James Stallard. But I think the more interesting event that's coming up this Jan, obviously has been announced, is CanCon 2025. The Infinity Nationals, which is confirmed to be a satellite tournament as well. If you've been to a CanCon, you know the deal. Anzac weekend? It is Anzac, isn't it?
No, Australia Day long weekend.
Australia Day long weekend, my apologies. At the Epic Park in Canberra. 300 points, probably, if Infinity stays as 300 points. Obviously, N5 rules, missions when N5 comes out, and you can buy tickets right now.
So I think our takeaway then from the First Contact is announce your missions later, sell out the tournament, and then you can announce.
then you can announce some fucking hot shit, and they cannot say anything.
I'm not sure. So I'm not sure if it's a good thing that the last tournament of N4 has an armory mission.
Thank God there's only 16 players. You only need 8 objective rooms.
Yeah. Alrighty. Main topic for tonight. Wishing upon a star.
The N5 wish list.
As we described last episode, the move from N3 to N4 was astounding, phenomenal, and incredible. We loved it. What can we expect from N5? Well,
I do have something to say about like the way N5 has been marketed to us, though. I do very distinctly remember at like the start of when like marketing for this started. It was very much told as like it's N4.5. Like small changes, lots of like tightening up, blowing up, polishing. It really doesn't feel like that anymore. It feels like a real shake-up of the game that I don't think is exactly what was marketed to us. Not in a bad way, I just think it has, the scope of it has expanded rapidly beyond what I initially thought at least we were going to get.
Well, part of the initial hype of it was that, yes, it was a refreshment of N4, and a lot of the feedback I heard was, but why is it a new edition? And I think now we know why it's a new edition.
Yeah,
It does very much feel like it's keeping the core of N4, but some of the changes are going to be larger and more worthy of a new edition.
yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't played through any other edition changes.
Mhm.
Is this the largest number of like units being culled from the game ever? It feels like we're losing a lot of units.
Well, we don't know that we're losing them.
Oh, so
We know that they're
from
being
vanilla
pulled from
specifically.
vanilla,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Vanillas
and
have rarely been touched to a
Okay.
degree.
and
So, yeah.
that, in my opinion, is absolutely necessary at this point of the game because vanillas are too bloated.
Yes.
And by reducing the number of models available in vanilla, you make them once again accessible to new players.
Yes, that was a big thing. Some people would jump in and go, I want to start, I want to play vanilla. And I go, good luck, because it's going to take you 2 weeks to make a list.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's virtually impossible.
Yes. I did the same. If I heard a new player was coming in and wanted to try vanilla, I did my best to steer them toward a sectoral in that faction
Yeah.
that reflected what they wanted, like kind of a play style they want to do with vanilla, just to avoid the overload that was vanilla.
Yeah. Vanilla was insanely overloaded for what it was.
And then the counterpoint there, sometimes people pushed you into vanilla just to let you avoid fire teams.
Yeah.
Like, slowly ease you
Yes.
into rules. But the vanilla bloat kind of locked you out of vanilla, kind of forced you to play sectoral so you can understand, not get, like, completely burnt out just trying to make a list. But then you have to mess with fire teams or just kind of be a worse version of what you were playing, effectively.
Yeah.
Correct. And hopefully a lot of what we'll see in this is cleaning up some of the like, kind of almost overlapping profiles. So like Vanilla Hawk has both the Alhawa and Farzan.
Yeah.
And they fill the same role. They are almost identical. They're almost the same points. And they're both FA1. Which means if you want to take 2 midfield skirmishers in Vanilla Hawk, you have to take one of each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
The
is just
other...
sorry.
Oh,
Sorry,
no,
yeah.
go ahead, Nick, if you had...
Which is just overload for new players, as opposed to going, here is your midfield skirmisher. Play with it, enjoy it, and don't worry about the profile that is a slight side grade from it.
Yep.
Yeah. I think the other thing as well that was problematic with vanilla, it's especially something like Vanilla Pano, which I've been experiencing after starting to play it, is that certain vanilla factions, the vast majority of their units were pretty close to like bloat almost. It was very, very hard to find like the really good stuff. And unfortunately, some of the really good stuff tended to be like the mercenaries and like the tag grade exclusives. So you'd end up with Vanilla Pano list where I think I counted up, you're playing something like 7 mercenaries. And it's not because the mercenaries are like completely overtuned and undercosted and everything, because they're, I think, other than probably like the Yujing Beast Hunter, and you could probably make some arguments about Diggers as well, all of the mercenary stuff is pretty well costed and pretty fairly taxed for being so like a regular and whatnot.
Yeah.
The problem was there just wasn't a lot in something like Vanilla Pano that really competed. It's like there was nothing that really competed with the Beast Hunter. Like, so you ended up sort of, if you wanted to play the best list, locked into taking 7 mercenaries in some cases, which defeats the whole idea about playing the best version of a overall faction with all the best stuff from all the sectorals.
Well, for Vanilla Pano, how many alternative Fusiliers do you have?
Yeah, it's actually not too bad because Fusiliers are like in every single sectoral almost.
Oh, I mean, but correct me if I'm wrong. Several of the Pano sectorals have their own replacement for the Fusilier.
Yeah. So you've got like Fusiliers, you've got like Croziers from military orders, and regulars is the other one.
Okay.
And we are unfortunately losing regulars, which I'm really sad about, because the regular hacker mine layer was probably close to my favorite profile in vanilla.
Yeah. Maybe you'll get a Fusilier profile that's similar to.
I really like
condense those in.
We're getting the Fennec Fusiliers in vanilla based on, well, before we saw like a clear image of the entire page, we did have the schizophrenic Charlie Day from fucking It's Always Sunny Pepe Silver board that Trent made for us.
Yeah.
Hi, Trent.
Yeah, I think just initially, anyone who's doom posting about vanilla losing this or fucking, you're taking that assumption with the profiles are going to stay the same. So
Yeah,
like
we haven't
Yes.
seen
you know,
yet.
I'm combined armies losing their main battle tag, whatever. Achilles entering combined army could get like Patroclus could have an AP HMG.
Yep.
Like in a Harris or something stupid. Like
I think the other thing as well is that because we've seen a fair few like the vanilla faction lists, we haven't seen some of them, which I think a lot of people are really, really needing to see. CV, please, that'd be great. What people aren't really taking notice of, I think, or at least probably not as much as I think they maybe should, is that there are a lot of those like bad profiles still floating around in vanilla, which tells me, I think Rob said it best, is that if Kodali's still in vanilla combined, they're probably changing something about Kodali to make her better, so you want to take Kodali in vanilla combined.
Correct. And I think that was one of the things they announced was looking at profiles and finding ones that like were iconic to the faction but were underperforming and taking those and making them worth their place in the list again.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Which I really like that. I hope that, you know, I'm happy. I will happily sacrifice all of the like tag raid mercs in vanilla Pano if I have an excuse to play stuff from Pano.
Yeah.
Like if they have made it good enough, it's like, oh, this is great. I'll take all of this now. Like happily.
The way you describe it reminds me a bit of I think it was late Mark II Warmahordes, where there was a faction called Merkdar, where it was a Signar caster and all mercenaries because they were all better than the basic troops of the faction.
Yep.
And so this sounds like something similar where you've got a bunch of choices, but most of them need fire teams to get that last little peak, or you can take a mercenary who works solo and does his thing by himself.
Yeah, I think Vanilla Pano, Vanilla Aleph as well to a lesser degree were definitely the most egregious offenders in terms of like mercenary bloat in lists, but it was definitely a problem. Like mercenaries was super overrepresented in terms of like overall play, and I think that is just because they outshone so much of what was in a sectoral. This topic is so much fun. We have barely started, and I am loving this.
We are on the title slide still.
I am loving this.
Well, Jordan, unfortunately, I put your two first, just so you have the energy at the beginning of the episode to just rant as much as you want.
All right.
All right, let's do it. Go for it.
Yeah. Probably talk about this. So I think we were all asked to sort of bring forward like two main ideas. With the big overall things so far that we know about being the changes to fire teams, and also changes to martial arts, which, you know, spoiler for potentially what Tristan and Nick are going to talk about in a little bit.
Just before you go on your rant, so this episode will be releasing on the 13th of October, and which is a Sunday.
You're releasing it tonight.
Yeah,
okay.
And
we are recording and releasing tonight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It'll be up an hour after we've finished. And CB are releasing a video about the fire team changes on Tuesday. So 2 days later.
Wednesday Australia time.
Wednesday Australia time, but Tuesday, well, it'll be 3-ish days from the release of this episode to when CB dropped the video.
Yep.
So
let's find out how
good
or wrong we are.
I mean, spoilers for the next slide. I outsourced making the new fire teams chart, so it's not on me if it goes tits up.
Go for it, Jordan.
All right, fire teams. One of my big wishes, outside of like the main changes to fire teams, is that all vanilla factions need viable and strong duo access. Currently, the only real factions that like really, I think, express and stress on how good their duos are things like Vanilla Pano, with your Blade Ops duos with tags and your Bulleteer bots. Hack Islam as well. Used to do a lot of stuff with duos, especially last season as well when you had the Rafiq with the Tackaware order, with duo 100%. With a million different things.
Asawira loves the duo.
Hack loves the duo. Do the sectorials love the duos at all, Nick, or is it mostly just vanilla?
I know
No, I
Deshat
don't
loved the duo.
like Yeah, I don't think for most of the hack because most of the ones they just get into a Harris or a Core.
Yeah,
So
sure.
so QK, you could put a Rafik and a Harris.
Mhm.
Deshat, you could put it in a duo. Apart from that, I didn't really see it.
Yep, cool.
Yep.
And Star Martyr, especially last season when you had the insane
Yes.
movement of like the robot Oko duo.
Yeah.
I don't know if I missed one there. I think those were sort of the main duos are really good here type factions. Of course,
Bakunin?
the Bakunin as well, because Bakunin has the Stig plus Orphan Observant.
Pretty much any tag engineer duo.
Yeah, tag engineer duo. That was the big thing. The Blade Ops in the Pano Sectorals and Vanilla that it was in definitely changed the way you tended to build lists because of how order efficient you ended up getting to be with it.
100%.
Especially after like the massive culling we're going to have of vanilla units, providing like cool and interesting duo options with potential composition bonuses it's really going to lessen the sting of losing a bunch of units that people really like playing with right now. Because not every unit that's getting cut is something that just isn't played. There's a lot of stuff that is seemingly getting cut, which a lot of people really, really currently like playing with. And just giving something to kind of make people feel better about that would be awesome. And I think duos should be like the vanilla thing, is like their duos should be really, really, really good. And then sectorals are where like your 3+ fire team should shine the most. Sorry, go
What
ahead.
if you think about it like one step down from sectorals? So sectorals, you've got your core fire team, and you've got one or two Harises to back it up. Step one down from that, vanilla, you've got a good Haris and then a bunch of duos to back it up.
Yeah, I personally would be very happy with the Haris option being super limited. I really don't want vanilla to step on sectoral's toes too much. Like I think the vanilla Haris should be like a flavor thing. It should be like expensive. It should be limited. Like I don't think you want it to be too good to where vanilla becomes the new fire team faction. Basically.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wonder, you could probably help with that by not having wildcards.
Yeah, no wildcards would help immensely as well. Well, we also know that they are trying to sort of curb down on like the 5-man sort of link soup links where wildcards really were the strongest. So we know that wildcards are going to become, if not worse, then like more reined in than they currently are.
And just after I get into Morats.
I know, right? I highly doubt that Morats are going to be affected at all.
No.
The other big elephant in the room when it comes to fire teams, in my opinion, is 6th Sense. I advocate heavily right now for not the removal, because I would like it removed, but I know it won't be removed because I think Bostria said something to the effect of like, 6th Sense is in the game because the cutter is too strong, because otherwise the cutter would be way too strong. And that honestly makes sense. Like, popping out of stealth and, neg-9ing people is really obnoxious.
Yeah.
I think 6th Sense in some way does need to exist in the game to give counterplay to things like that. However, at this stage, I think that the ability 6th Sense is the strongest skill that fire teams actually get access to. I think that fire teams with 6th Sense are just insane. The main weakness of something like Steel Phalanx is supposed to be those MSV2 shooters who are able to remove that mimetism and by proxy then shoot through smoke and potentially take down those numbers that they're on. Right now, because of 6th Sense, the best thing you're going to get against Phoenix is either a fair fight on BS13, or if you can catch him outside of 32 inches with a MSV2 sniper, you can get him at neg 3. Like, I think, and
it's even worse than that because he's on 14s.
Sorry, he's on 14s in a pure link. Like, if you don't have Pandora in there, basically, that's ridiculous. 6th Sense basically ignoring the weaknesses of that fire team and making it at worst essentially a slightly unfair fight is insane. I don't know exactly what the change is, if it is to sort of make it harder to achieve 6th Sense, or if it's like some slight tweaks and nerfs to the ability, because right now, I don't know if I can name an ability in the game or a skill that has more, wait, it also fucking does that? moments
Yeah.
to it than like what you have with Sixth Sense currently. It's like, so what does it do? It's like, oh, so like if you get shot at and you can't see what's shooting you, you shoot back at no penalty. Oh, that's really good.
It could.
Yeah, you also
yeah.
ignore surprise attack. I'm like, oh, you are. Oh, yeah, you also ignore like the neg 3 from mines as well. Oh, yeah, you also ignore the neg 3 from dodging if you're outside of line of fire and getting hit by something.
Oh, if you get shot in the back, you can shoot back.
Yeah, you have a 360.
It's basically 4 or 5 skills in one. You could de-nest just 6 cents.
Yeah. And that's the really important thing. Like, if you could make Sixth Sense weaker, it would have, I believe at least, curbed the sort of irritation that people had with Guided, especially this during N4, because the problem with Steel Phalanx is that you couldn't take a fair fight against them. So your only way to fight them was to take an unfair fight or an asymmetric fight with something like Guided. And then because Guided became popular, people complained about Guided because asymmetric fighting isn't particularly fun or engaging. And then, okay, now we're getting Guided nerfed. And it's a vicious, awful little circle that keeps on going round and round and round.
Well, it's kind of a challenge curve of like unfair to fair fights, but Steel Phalanx with Sixth Sense, it's a cliff.
Yeah.
Like it is either in their favor or unengaging.
Yep.
Like there's no, I can't modify the situation to give myself slight advantages from doing different little things.
Yeah.
They just ignore everything until I missile them.
Yep,
and they complain that it's unengaging.
I'm crucifying Steel Phalanx here, but they're the most egregious offender of this sort of problem, basically. Yeah. Like, not being able to get a fair fight against them, even when you bring the tools you're supposed to use to beat them, is ridiculous, in my opinion. Yep. The other thing that Sixth Sense does as well is it makes MSV1 the best piece of equipment in the game. Any fire team shooter in the game with MSV1 is insane. Sixth Sense makes them so much stronger because it completely negates the weakness of MSV1 compared to MSV2 if they shoot you, which is you just get to shoot back on flats. The only thing you care about is MIM6 now. And again, the number, just like with the previous thing with Steel Phalanx, the number of MSV2 shooters with guns that are good over 32 inches is incredibly low. The number of MIM6 shooters with really good guns is also pretty low. So, like, the fact with the Suryat, the best you can do to it, unless you are a MIM6 sniper, is put it on neg 3 is ridiculous.
Yeah, I played against Reese last night, and he was playing Morats, and I was playing JSA, and he had the lovely Suryat in his pure core, and the only...
Suryat HRL we're talking about.
Suryat HRL with MSV1 in a pure core. The only thing I could do to it, which so happened to work, is coordinate order it with 4 things.
Yep.
So shoot it with a Ryukin, a Tanko missile launcher, a Kempe, and a Domaru charging at its face. And that's the only thing I could do, and in 2 orders I killed it, but 2 other things died to it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I can't outshoot it.
And unlike Steel Phalanx, it's not the only like egregious offender here. Like the other big MSVR ARO pieces with like Riot Girl missile launchers, the Grenza multi-sniper, and the Suryat HRL, they're all massive offenders, and MSV1 is a huge part of why they are such a massive offender. And again, if you remove Sixth Sense from that fire team, it's still not really a bad fight for them, because you're putting a Suryat on 13s instead of 16s. Like, it's really not that bad still. Also, for the first point as well, just so the Steel Phalanx players don't hate me, I love you guys. My best mate's playing Steel Phalanx right now. Cool faction. Bakunin as well, same problem. Like, taking a fair fight with a Cenobite sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's another issue with that, because you've mentioned fighting MSV1 ARO pieces. MSV1 with Sixth Sense can smoke shoot.
Yep.
Because if you shoot back, you now have established line of sight back. They ignore the smoke penalty.
Yep.
If you don't shoot back, like, I'm happy to take a -6 penalty on all my shots if there's no chance I get hurt.
Yeah, you've functionally created a risk-free engagement,
yep.
And all it cost you was neg 6 to your ballistic skill.
Yes.
And you still get to put your positive modifiers from fire team bonus and range on top of that.
Yeah.
It's
roughly
insane.
flats, maybe -3 from cover total.
Yeah, I feel like a crazy person. It's
Yeah.
Not even,
yeah.
not even mentioning that there are some pieces out there like the Vidocq, and let's say there might be others off the top of my
The
head.
Vidocq is the Vidocq and the Prime are the big ones who have some form of like mimetism,
Yeah, some
or
form
like
of
better mimetism.
mim and
with
MSV1.
MSV.
Yeah,
it's
it compounds very quickly.
yeah. I've been saying this for a while, but I think like MSV1 is just one of the strongest pieces of equipment flat out in the game for the cost, especially because I don't think it. I don't think MSV1
It
costs
doesn't.
a terrible amount for a
No.
profile.
There's also a massive proliferation of MSV1 mimetism models since, let's say, Cosmo Crimson Stone release. Like,
It's just something they sort of tack on. Like they just sort of throw MSV1 on things and then make it linkable. And it's like, oh, we have MSV2 at home, but it costs like 10 less points.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It gets there. All right.
Yeah, it does. All right, let's talk about the proposed fire team changes. We have an example fire team table here and an example of how the rules would work. This is courtesy of Rob Cantrell. If you don't know him, he's Robert Shepard on YouTube. Great Infinity content creator. Really, really cool stuff. He's been doing a lot of N5 content as well. And I talked to him last night because I was a little bit not sure what I was going to really do for the new fire team table. And he cooked this up for me. So first of all, starting on the right, we'll read through the new fire team rules. A fire team gains bonuses based on the number of troops of the fire team's type. Impure Link members don't remove bonuses. Impure fire team members can gain the bonuses, but do not contribute towards them. For example, 3 moderators and 1 riot girl only gain bonus. These 4 members will gain bonuses of a 3-member fire team because you are pure with your 3 moderators, and the 1 riot girl gains bonuses but does not contribute. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I have an alternative to that I've put in, but we can discuss that later.
Yeah, exactly. So is that the one underneath it?
Yeah, so my alternative would be if impure and pure maintained, have the impure models not remove the purity bonuses. So in that case, like 3 moderators and 1 riot girl would be purity of 3, impurity of 4. So they would keep the +3 to discover from being a pure of 3.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I
think yours is probably more likely, but in the event that they keep purity, I'd still like to see that impure members don't penalize them. They just stop them from getting more bonuses.
Well, that is how Rob's works.
Oh, okay.
Because if you read it here, right? So this 4-person fire team, because it is 3 moderators, it gets the bonuses of the 3-member fire team.
Yeah.
But the riot girl gets those bonuses, but the riot girl doesn't then get you the bonuses of a 4-member fire team.
Correct. Yeah.
I think the only reason I think this might be more likely is just because it removes one of the tables as well. Only having one table, I think is.
I was going to say that is a pain point for some people having 2 sets of fire team rules.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Explaining to people, it's like, wait, so if I'm a pure fire team, I only get this table? It's like, no, you get both tables.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, really? Yeah, CB, we love you, but sometimes. So here is the new fire team table, or
proposed.
The proposed fire team table. I don't want to say new, for the love of God. Get fucking posted on fucking Infinity Global. It's like, this guy's got the fucking source. I do not.
Boss is dropping the hot facts.
Exactly. So 2 members. So duos will get bonuses now. +1 burst in ARO. I think this is really neat. I think you could potentially flip +1 in ARO versus +1 in Haris teams, because I think there is a nice little push-pull between which one of those is better. That 2nd burst in ARO, in my opinion, is huge. Being able to like duo tags and like give them a 2nd burst in ARO. I don't know if that would be too strong, but it potentially could be. But giving them an extra burst in active would almost certainly be too strong. I don't know. I think it's a really neat. I think it's a really neat way to give more power to duos.
Well, so on your proposed changes, both of those models in a tag duo would have to have the tag keyword.
Yeah, that'd be dude. I will play 2 tick belangs.
Yeah, so
you can just try to stop me.
I actually really like just +1 burst in general for pure duos, because it lets you take, in vanilla, let's say models that you don't normally take. So you take like 2 orcs. So you take like an orc fuelback and an orc doctor.
Yeah,
And
that'd be
normally
cool.
you have to take a Harris to actually, make them viable, and it's expensive as shit. So taking 2, maybe it's only a cost of 70, 75 points. It has the effectiveness of a Harris, it has a specialist and a gun, and it lets you use models that people really don't use anymore unless it's like an orc and 4 fusiliers or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you could definitely swap around the ARO and active burst, and I'm sure there is some kind of push pull there to find out which one ends up being better for which level of the fire team.
Yep.
So if you have a 3-member fire team, you are getting +1 ballistic skill, +1 burst in active. I love this. I love a Haris team. I love taking 2 Harises. I think 2 Harises are great. Giving people more reasons to take these pure Haris teams as well is awesome. But if you don't, you're still not. Where's...
I like the idea of splitting the +1 burst in arrow, +1 burst in active, because like it gives a reason to take a pure duo.
Yeah,
And then you can trade off that. Do I want to take like a tag with a impure engineer that runs behind it? And that benefit is I've got my own repair crew that I'm dragging up the field, versus taking 2 more expensive models that then give you a better duo.
Yeah, that's a really big thing for me. And I think there's again, there's a lot of push pull that you can do there. That +1 ballistic skill is going to be really nice. It gives you more of a reason to take those like less taken things like orcs, etc. Like giving an extra ballistic skill is just a really nice bonus for taking a 3 pure fire team, or in this case a 3-member fire team. Stepping up to 4 members, again, get that +1 ballistic skill and discover +3. I like discover +3. I think you could also make it like discover reroll. Reroll might potentially be too strong, but you can honestly go either way with it. I like that.
I feel like reroll is more appropriate for 4 members, because especially considering this is 4 members with the same keyword. So this is potentially a 5-member link of 4 fusiliers and an orc or whatever. So it's more likely to be a 5-man link than a 4-man link.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of the reroll there, because, like I said, if it's a bunch of people with the same whip, it's more representative of that by having
Multiple
them reroll
people.
it. It doesn't mean that
Yeah.
they have a better chance to do it. They just have more chances to do it because there's more people looking.
I will say as well, having played a lot of Atlanta when I played like Vanilla Aleph, Discover Reroll feels a lot better than Discover +3. Rolling 2 dice just feels better.
Yeah.
Especially when we get to the martial art changes.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, you may have noticed from that 4-person fire team, there's no 6th Sense. That's because we moved it up to a 5-member fire team, is where you get that last point of ballistic skill and 6th Sense.
But only if it's 5 dudes with the same keyword.
Yeah, only if it's 5 dudes with the same keyword. Again, this was made based on the fact that CB have really talked about they really want to stress those sort of coherent fire teams of like the way they're supposed to be built without a bunch of like random wildcards kind of slotting in and still getting a bunch of the bonuses.
Yeah.
I really like this. I think it's a pretty clean adaptation. It's a pretty clean swap over from the system we're currently doing.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm a fan.
My first impressions, I really like it. I would swap the burst in active and the burst in arrow personally, because I would love pure duos to get +1 burst. And then if you want your arrow HI piece, it needs to be in a 4-man link minimum if you're padding it out with lower, like cheaper stuff
with
to get the +1 burst arrow. And apart from that, Discover Reroll is probably better than Discover +3, and consistently discovering might be I don't know if it will be a problem. That Discover +3 and Reroll is kind of whatever.
I think currently camo is maybe not too good, but I think it's a little unintuitive for like newer players, especially to play against.
Yeah,
giving them a very clear way of engaging with it is potentially really good, I think.
Yeah. And I really like that it's going to reward people that take the, pure medium infantry links, let's say. So like 5 Muyibs. You're dropping 140 points on a link.
Oh, yeah.
It's expensive, it's strong, because a lot of people, like, you take these links and it's only covering 1/3 to 1/2 of the table. There's always ways to move around it, and you're investing a lot of points into getting this Sixth Sense not as interactable kind of thing, which means there's other weaknesses in your list. It's not like you're dropping 80 points to get a super strong HI piece, and you still have points for tag and warbands and midfield camo and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the other thing I really like about this as well, right, is that it gives back to people the ability to play 4 dickheads and one Superboy.
Yeah.
But it makes it way less oppressive than it used to be. So you're losing Sixth Sense and a point of ballistic skill. And instead you're getting 2 ballistic skill as the trade-off, basically. You get an extra BS for losing a BS and Sixth Sense over what you get now compared to what you got earlier on in N4. I think it's cool. I think giving people the option to play that type of link team again is nice. It's more options, which I'm always a fan of. I'm always a fan of giving people more options to do things with, especially when there's more push-pull strengths and weaknesses to it.
It's really good on addition changes to get people to start thinking outside the box, and to make 2-person, 3-person, 4-person, 5-person links all viable in their own way.
Yep. And again, so this is talking about these changes in a vacuum of like not nerfing Sixth Sense. If Sixth Sense was nerfed in one of many ways, one of them is making it a little bit more like MSV, in that it's a MSV1, in that it can be like a neg3 to negative modifiers. So that, the neg6 from getting shot through smoke becomes a neg3. I would also maybe make it not ignore stuff like surprise attack, because I think, if you sneak a Fade up on a link team, I think there is reason to be rewarded for doing that, right?
Later on, when we get to my wish list, I do have an approach to Sixth Sense, but it ties into several other things. So
Sure.
No
Yeah, because the small one that is written there is just sort of don't let it ignore surprise attack and make it only like a neg3 through smoke. I think stuff like letting you dodge missiles really well when they shoot you out of line of fire, dodging grenades when they shoot you out of line of fire is totally fine. It's just right now it's make the weaknesses of things actually weaknesses, right?
I think the big one for me is don't let them shoot from their back. So you can put a drop troop down and try and pick apart a link team, and them not shooting you back on 15s or whatever when you're getting a jump on them. Because that seems a bit stupid.
It is a bit silly. You can see why they made that change, though. They don't want people to be punished for sort of mispositioning parts of their link.
Yeah,
I think it is a little bit too good, though.
I think the idea of a link is you have 5 guys and they're supposed to cover every angle.
Yeah.
So it should be more like a deployment skill. You're getting these benefits and you have to protect yourself, not I can throw 5 dudes down and I have a fucking 16-inch aura where you can't shoot any of them without them, retaliating.
Yeah. I bet this is me planting my flag in the fucking ground. This is what I really like this. I challenge CV to do better. I'm sure they will do very well because CV tend to be very good when it comes to balancing their own game.
Yeah, I really like the idea of not removing bonuses for having an Imperial member, because there's so many times that, like, getting to Moretz, going, I really would love to put a Zabuk in my core as a quarter guard.
Yeah,
because
they're
that is a
exceptional
scary quarter guard, but I don't want to lose 5 levels of purity bonuses.
Yep. This is a really nice, it's not taking things away, it's letting you work towards getting stuff, which I think is a nice psychological sort of flip for people.
Yes, you can choose not to get additional bonuses, but it doesn't penalize you, which means you have more options available on how to build stuff.
Yeah,
I think.
And again, you've.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Okay. Sorry. I'll just go really quickly. The thing you sort of have to look at this in the context of is the idea that CB is going to make those fire team charts more restrictive in what can go in links, because they are trying to kill those link soup, wildcard medley, one Fusiliera's glue type links.
Yeah, I think it would also be really intuitive to read as well, because you have the name of the fire team. Let's say it's a moderator fire team.
Mm.
You just have like we have now keywords. You just count how many of those keywords are in the link to determine how many fire team bonuses you are. So there's
Exactly.
no messing around with how many people are in the link. You just go, there's 3 dudes in the link with the moderator keyword. That means I get 3-man bonuses.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like it a bit.
One thing that this would require is they'd have to rewrite what is currently the duo bonus, and they can activate with multiple orders, and just move that from a 2-person bonus up to it is a fire team, therefore this is how it
Yeah, the
which
base.
really needs. Yeah.
You can literally put that in like the first sentence. Like the base
Yes.
function of a fire team is that
Yes.
spending an order activates all troopers in the fire team.
That's already in like G-Servant and those kinds of skills anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It would just need to be moved from this is a bonus at a level 2. No, this is a bonus because that's what a fire team is.
They are a fire team. They get this thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Also, that's like I will say, it is a little bit like I don't know if you've ever had it. I had a new player ask me once. It's like, oh, so only the 2-person fire team gets to activate both members with the order, right? And I'm like, no, that's not how that works.
Yes.
I've had the opposite. Yeah. I've had people join the community and they've played that when they activate fire teams, they're activating every single member. And they've been throwing 10 dice at people or like 14 dice. And you're like, oh my goodness. No, that's not how fire teams work.
That's so good.
Alrighty.
Oh my god. Alright, next slide. So this is my second one. It's a lot smaller. It's a lot simpler. CB have mentioned they're going to nerf Guided. They have mentioned it's going to be a bit of a slap on the wrist nerf to Guided. They don't think Guided is inherently super unhealthy, but they do understand that for people it is unfun. Like, asymmetric styles of fighting are unfun. I will freely admit this as someone who uses Guided a lot and has been, guided a fair bit. It's not a particularly fun way to play the game, but it is a riskless way to play the game. And when you play a game like Infinity, which is so heavily balanced on the ARO mechanic and like every fight is risky, any kind of riskless engagement is always going to sort of interest people. So the potential nerfs that I did come up with for Guided, we have putting it a +3 instead of a +6 bonus. You have missiles consuming the targeted state. I'm not sure if it will consume them on a hit, or like a successful face-to-face only, or if just shooting the missile counts as consuming the targeted state. I would lean more on, just using the guided ability consumes the targeted state personally. And then you have reset on flats, or reset as a face-to-face with guided. You could sort of do either one or both of those together. I think both together would be fine. Returning U-turn, and disposable missiles. So giving your missile bot disposable X, like disposable 2, disposable 3 guided missiles.
For people who don't know, U-turn was a hacking program that lets you face-to-face a guided shot.
Oh, sure. With your... Yeah.
It was typically on hacking device pluses, I believe.
Yep. Out of these altogether, I personally think that missiles consuming the targeted state is like sort of the cleanest change that is a nerf. You get, you target someone, you get to nuke them once, and then, the targeting is consumed because you launched a fucking missile at their head.
Yep.
But I'd be happy to hear about whatever you guys think would probably be a better change.
I think +3 instead of +6 is quite likely, because the +3 is the targeted state.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they kept that. I don't think it will happen, but you could possibly combine that with giving guided ranged bans again.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would like that.
You've got the +3 from targeted, and you have to work to make sure you're at the right place to get the +3 from range.
Yeah, I think.
But it also means you have to position, and if people start to get too close to you, your guided stops working as well.
Yeah, I will say the only sort of problem I would see with that is that, as it stands right now, people are already sort of using guided in good missile launcher range bands anyway.
Yeah. So I would have it more like suppressive fire, like a suppressive fire separate range band. So guided range band, and I would make it so that really far distances, so DZ to DZ, would be harder. and DZ to midline would be, it would progressively get better the closer it got.
Yeah.
Um,
The other thing as well
Yeah.
you could do, which this would be more of a CB advice to the community type thing, is just designate more things on your map as a closed room. Like, just build like really small, not even objective, not like an objective room, just like a small box basically. And it's got like a door on it and whatnot. You walk in and out of it freely, but you just at the start of the game, it's like, yeah, this is a closed room. You can't guide the thing in here.
Yep. I like the idea. I think for a lot of metas, that is a less practical solution.
Yeah.
Just because closed room terrain pieces are more difficult to work with.
Yes.
They're more finicky. They require more understanding between the players of how it's going to work. But having something like inside of buildings and being a little bit more flexible with that definition rather than strictly sealed rooms.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so that is sort of what I was trying to get at, is basically
okay.
laxing the description of what a sealed room is, and being just able to go, hey, play this is like sealed, play this is sealed, means this, easy as, cool, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think guided, I personally don't think guided is like super overpowered. I understand that it's not a super fun mechanic, but if they nerf Sixth Sense, I think it'll make guided worse by proxy. I think people will use guided less because they'll be engaging Steel Phalanx Link teams in a fair way because they can now take fair fights with them. That's just me, though.
I don't know if this is a hot take. We might talk a little bit about it later, but I don't think the problem is guided. I think it's the prevalence of either pitches or fast pandas, or the ability to get repeaters into good spots with minimal orders.
Pitches are absolutely the problem.
So I think the N3 approach was you had a flash bot, it moved 6/6, and I had to spend 3 orders and maybe dodge some AROs to get it there.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
But now you've got like, it feels like a lot of factions have access to like linked pitches in a fight team.
Yeah.
Bit and Kiss is still Bit and Kiss. They're only burst 2 now instead of burst 3, but they're still fantastic. Like
burst 2 is still burst 2.
Yeah, burst 2 is still burst 2. And you get more chances at it because they each have 2 pitches.
Yeah.
God, 20 points for burst 3 pitches. Sign me up.
It's 21 points for burst 3 pitches and only in Onyx Contact Force.
Yeah. Beforehand.
It
wasn't nerfed. It wasn't nerfed that long ago.
No, it was. It was nerfed BCB 2023. I remember because it was BCB 23. I think. I hope I'm not talking out of my ass.
That's only a year ago, Jordan.
Yeah, it was only a year ago. I remember I went up to Kevin and I was like, "Hey, Kevin, look, they changed Bit and Kiss," and he was like, "Thank fuck."
Yeah, they didn't change her enough.
No, they didn't. She's still really, really good. And the other thing on this slide, because we needed a bunch of little changes, but a lot of the little changes I would have suggested were actually covered by Tristan and Nick later on in the episode. Please don't gut Vanilla Pano. I really like playing Vanilla Pano, and I was definitely one of the people who saw the new faction list and did have a sad sinking feeling in my chest as it looked like every single good close assault piece we had is gone. If you leave Liang Kai, I promise I won't commit many war crimes. Maybe a few, but not many. I'll be good. I could also be like, I'm happy to play Combined Army for another year. I definitely didn't buy way too much Pano.
Please, CB, bring back Liang Kai.
Yeah, bring back Liang Kai. I'll be good, I promise. Other than that, though, I did just want to say, a lot of the stuff I personally wanted out of N5 was previewed literally the week they talked about N5.
Yeah.
Like the damage changing to rolling low instead of high, fantastic. I've wanted that change for fucking years.
Yep.
It's legitimately I think it was one of the first things I said when I started playing. It's like, why does everything want you to roll low except for damage? This makes no sense.
Yep, I agree. It'll take maybe, 3 or 4 games for the veterans to get used to it who aren't super on
lock
board.
Into it,
I think it's more intuitive to calculate what number you need, because currently as it is, you have damage and then you have your armor value and you subtract them. Whereas instead
Yeah,
now
now-
you'll just have one number, you add to it, and then you roll under it. So instead of
Yeah.
having two numbers, you have one number.
I think that
And
the thing
and you
that
don't have
will
to. Go ahead.
God damn it, Nick. I think the thing that will definitely take people longer to clock onto is it is now meet to beat, whereas before it was exceed only.
Yep.
I think that will actually be an easier step
Mm.
than the reversal, because it's also the only thing that the target number isn't your target.
Yeah, it's
With
Yeah.
saves, it's you have to beat that number, and I've had many experiences with new players going, they're like, okay, so that's my target number. I'm like, well, except you have to beat that number, so your target number is really one above that.
unlike everything else in the fucking game.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, unlike everything else.
I'm sure everyone's had the experience where they go in their head, maybe opponent that isn't, doesn't know the numbers as well as other people. You sit there and go, blah, blah, blah. All right, you need 14s. And you go, wait, what? And you go, but it's damage, it's damage 13 or whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
No, you need to beat 13s. You need 14s.
Yes.
The other thing, the other big reason for this change, you have no idea how happy I am. I am never again gonna have to listen to, from myself as well or anyone else, oh my god, all day today I rolled 19s and 20s on my 2 hits, and I rolled 5s to 6s on my armor rolls. It's ridiculous. I hate this game.
Yeah.
Never gonna have to listen to that again, baby!
Yeah.
Love and life.
Yeah. I hope it doesn't. This is so minor. I hope it doesn't prevalate people like trying to find dice that roll low, because
Oh, because that doesn't work for face to face.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't.
No.
Because
So
you want to roll as high as possible, but under.
Yeah.
Yeah, thankfully, that doesn't work for face-to-face rolls. But yeah, honestly, a lot of the stuff I would have put on here is stuff that CB has literally said they were gonna do. So I'm like, you know what? Fucking props to them. They fucking hit the nail on the head with some of these changes. Big fan.
Love it. All right. Martial arts. I am I'm a budding new JSA player. I've been playing in an Australian league. I've played, 10 games or so of JSA, and I'm falling in love. And current martial arts is stupid, and I hate it.
Yeah, because CC in general is a crapshoot. Like,
so Nick, do you want to take us through what you think we should do to martial arts?
Yeah, I think we had some overlapping big part, and a lot of this they've already previewed to some degree will happen. De-nesting of martial arts bonuses, because like CC plus minus whatever is already in the game.
Yep.
It's the last bastion of unnecessary nesting. Sorry.
I will fight you in 30 seconds.
Okay. Sorry about that. So it has the ability to either be just removed from the game or turned into a more interesting table where the bonuses are not just flat numeric.
Yep.
Originally, I wanted to see a third close combat ability that would help balance martial arts and natural born warrior to turn it kind of into a rock, paper, scissors. But the way that they've approached it from what they've said, I think that will solve that issue. Where prior it was, I've got 2 abilities and one completely trumps the other.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to make it some like, well, this beats this, but this beats this, and now there's an interesting mix-up of how do you engage with which models.
It's super confusing to me that like martial arts exists on a profile, and it's also like, oh, he also has like CC attack Nick 3 as well.
Yes.
It's like, why you have the words for this in rules you are using currently. You can just put this on a profile and people will know what it means.
Well, part of it was legacy, and part of it was natural born warrior's wording.
Yeah.
Where natural born warrior only negated martial arts.
Yep.
So with changing natural born warrior to negate close combat penalties, now you're in a situation where martial arts can flourish more, and it doesn't just get nullified in certain situations.
I really like that change too, because again, it's helping you be on better numbers, but it's not taking away from your opponent, so it's way less of a feels bad.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, it doesn't nullify how well they fight, but it puts like almost a floor on how well you fight.
Yep. All right. So Nick, I'm going to fight you.
Okay.
I agree. I think if you're going to denest part of martial arts, you may as well denest everything. But in my opinion, I think that martial arts should be used as an indicator for how good a unit is in CC. And I don't think for new players, they should have to look at a CC stat and then 3 skills and then compare it against another unit to try and determine how good a unit is in close combat. So I think for the purposes of martial arts, I think it's good to have, you know, I'm a martial arts level 4 and you're a martial arts level 2. So I'm going to be noticeably better in martial arts. And I can tell that just from the numbers. So I agree with you that like denesting it is completely viable. But I think personally I would like it, maybe this is me being a boomer, I would like it to be there as an indicator as to how good a model is in CC.
I think the problem... Sorry, I've been talking so much. I need to shut up.
No. Go for it. You talk
I think
well.
I think the problem as well with the idea of like martial arts being an indicator of how good you are in CC is that as it stands currently, like martial arts levels 2 to 4 are no indicator whatsoever of how good something is
Exactly.
in CC.
Yep.
The only martial arts levels that matter are martial arts level 2 and martial arts level 5. Like realistically in terms of like the actual bonuses you get.
Yep.
So I think that if you completely removed the plus minus numerics from martial arts, you could still very quickly explain and compare the CC abilities of other models. So if you've whatever the plus to CC is that you would have had, just put that into the stat.
Yep.
So now
I do agree. Bake positive mods into the profile. Now that Natural Born Warrior is the proposed one, isn't affecting that. You can completely remove that from martial arts. That's perfectly fine.
Because if you have just CC minus, you could explain the profile CC ability as it's CC 25 minus 3 plus 2 damage.
Yep, so the damage is also baked into the profile. So they're baked into the weapons.
Sorry, you are correct. Yes.
That was another really good change.
What I kind of mean is, with some of their proposed changes, so CB have proposed there's still going to be plus burst, and there's going to be CC reroll, but it's going to be it's going to be like advantage from D&D.
Which is so good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
But
that fixes so many problems.
Looking
with
at
CC.
a CC model, I read its CC stat of, let's say, 26, and then I have to read its CC minus 6, and it has CC reroll, and then it has CC plus 1 burst, or it has CC shock, or it has, CC AP, or whatever. Like, I'm having to scroll through the profile, and it bloats it with, like, 4 or 5 CC skills.
Okay.
So that's my only argument. I don't know if you've looked at my proposed table, but it's very simple.
Yeah.
Very simple. Basically, the idea is to make meaningful differences between the levels.
Absolutely.
So what I try to do is to make there be not an identical, but a very near statistical difference between levels. So level 2 versus level 1 will have the same face-to-face odds as level 4 versus level 3, for example. So going through our new table, I'll be very quick with it. It's just martial arts level 1, 3, and 5 is a progressive CC minus 3. So level 1 is minus 3, level 3 is minus 6, and level 5 is minus 9. And then martial arts 2 will give you the reroll that they've proposed, so advantage. And level 4 will give you plus 1 burst as it used to do. When it comes to the rerolls, it's only rerolling 1 dice per order. And if we look at the stats, I'll have a quick read for you. So, for example, a martial artist that's CC 25 that has level 2 versus an identical model that has level 1 will have face-to-face odds of about 63% versus 30%. and a level, let's say level 5 versus level 4 will have a 64% versus a 30%.
Mhm.
So there is like statistically, it makes every level of martial arts valuable,
Mm.
but it also
The-
means like a level 5 versus a level 2 is 60, like 80, 90% virtually versus 7%. So it's not like
Yeah.
Musashi
reroll's so
fighting a Chutin currently. The +1 burst is okay, let's say Martial Arts 4, sorry. Martial Arts 4 is probably a better example, because right now it's useless. Martial Arts 4 versus a Martial Arts 2, you're virtually identical odds, but you're paying for
Yes.
the bloat of the martial arts, and you could basically delete those 2 levels of martial arts.
Yes.
If CB don't want to go with something similar to this, where it's, I think I heard somewhere that they're going to keep CC minus in the table. If they don't want to do this, you could reduce it to 3 levels of martial arts and make it abilities like the reroll and maybe the burst or something. I'm not sure. But you could change it.
I like the table. I personally like the table being there. I like having something to refer to.
Yeah.
That I understand I might be in the minority there though.
Mhm.
I think the adding something tangible like the reroll is just so good. Like
The reroll's really
advantage
good.
is so good. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good. It will make CC so much less of a feels bad. It's not even funny. Like
Well,
yeah.
It
It's
provides. Sorry, go ahead.
it's just so good. Like it's just so
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
The reroll also provides a middle step between nothing and +1 burst, because +1 burst in CC is incredibly powerful, especially when you start to stack DA, explosive, anything like that.
Yeah.
So it gives you like, I'm better than just 1 die, but I'm not going to land, 6 wounds.
Yeah. It really hits the power fantasy as well when you get to that level 4 of like
Mhm.
this realistically shouldn't lose to a Fusilier the number of times something like this is lost to a Fusilier. The
Yeah.
fact that you get to roll 4 dice essentially and get the 2 best ones on your burst, it's just great. Like it cuts down the odds of them outside of an incredibly lucky crit. Like
Yeah.
it just puts you in such a good position.
I also like how this table would interact with Natural Born Warrior. So looking at this table, I could say from someone who's running Natural Born Warrior model, I would feel like I got my points worth to negate all those CC negatives. But then on the other side, someone running a martial artist into a Natural Born Warrior would still feel like they got most of their points out of that martial arts level.
Musashi can
To
still kill a Zellenkrieger.
Yes.
Yep.
Or a Beast Hunter.
Which he should be able to. Like, that's the power fantasy, right? That's the thing that everyone has complained about with these natural born warrior warbands for like the last year now, is that why can't my samurai cut his head off?
So the other thing about this change that I've proposed is that when high level martial artists fight each other, since the positive mods are baked into the profile and the negative mods are so much greater, CC 25, let's say they're both level 5, becomes CC 16, but they have 2 dice and a reroll. So it becomes like shooting almost.
Introducing failure states is so good.
It's no longer a crit off.
Exactly. It's no longer a crit off, which sucks ass when it's like Musashi versing another martial artist and they're on 22s or whatever, and it's like, ooh, yay, I got my crit, so you better crit back on your 2 dice kind of thing.
But it also like thematically seems to make sense, because if you've got 2 absolute beasts of martial arts, there should be a fair number of states where neither one comes out on top.
Yep.
Like they should both be good enough to parry the other's attacks and come out as a draw, but not a like we both hit so well that no one got wounded.
Yeah,
we both like didn't get attacks through because the other's so good at defending.
There's going to be more states like there are with shooting, where since both people are only critting on one number, it's basically like shooting where it's like I cancel your 9 and you cancel my 12 and I get you with one hit on a 15.
Yep.
And you might make that save or pass one, fail one, and it represents the amount of lethality there should be when martial artists fight each other. But then you go level 4 versus a dude with nothing, and you only have a 10% chance to win the face-to-face, and if you lose, you explode because I'm critting on 25s or whatever.
Yeah, so I'm critting on 20s and 1 through 5. Again, oh my god, the CC change to be from a plus to the die roll to just a overflow of the numbers that crit.
Yes.
So good. Like, never again are you going to complain about rolling low on CC. It's like, I rolled a 1. Yay! We did it! We crit!
And it's not a, like, well, I rolled a 7 and you rolled a 12, but I'm at a 25, which means my 7 is now also a 12, which then, yeah.
And it's also like, the other really big thing with that is that it's going to make it so when you're like fighting, CC to CC, it's just cutting down the amount of math you have to do.
Yes.
And there's the fact that they found a change that is of no difference mathematically, but feels so much better is incredible. It's such a clean change, and it has made it. I haven't even played with it yet. It makes CC look so much better.
Yes.
And it fits in with the whole rolling low.
Yeah, rolling low good.
Yes.
It's
not rolling low on the dice
than your target, but higher than your opponent.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So CB, if you take anything from this video, make the right fire team changes. And please if you're going to keep 5 levels of martial arts, if you don't want to do this change, that's fine. But please make there be a statistical, noticeable difference between each level. Yep. I'm paying points for level 4. You're paying points for level 3. I'm paying more points. I should have, in this example, there's about a 10% chance, 10 to 15% chance per level. I should have that per level. Like, I'm paying for it.
Mm-hmm. It's wild how, 2 levels of martial arts are just bloat and don't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. My second proposed change, weapons are getting a little stale, I feel like. I don't know. So I just threw some stuff out there. I don't know what people think about, let's say, fire pistols, but we have fire shotguns, so they can't be that bad, can they?
I think fire pistols would be cool. Pistols are super underutilized as they stand. You just can't make it so it's a CC weapon.
Even if it is, I don't think it would be that bad.
No, we don't need continuous damage CC weapons in the game.
Okay, then the CC mode is just AP.
Yeah, there you go.
Boom.
Like, Mendoza has a continuous damage CC weapon, and if he wasn't held back by being Mendoza, that would be awful to play into.
I'll get there right as soon as I reset this immobilized and isolated.
I will get there eventually.
Yeah.
And tying into my opinion of let's make adhesive more useful. So I think adhesive should be 2 saves. Because currently adhesive templates are kind of just shit. And adhesive weapons are kind of just shit. And there's not really a point to use them unless it's the only good range band gun you have and you're AOing with it.
So you would make it 2 fizz minus.
I would make it
saves?
like stun. Yeah. So 2 saves. If you want to make it make it 2 at -3, that's fine. Because 2 saves is noticeably worse than an extra -3.
I think 2 at -6 is fair, personally.
Just currently, it's kind of shit.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that, but I think the trade-off would have to be that it's slightly easier to dodge out of it.
Okay.
So I think you might have to bring it down to like a dodge -3.
Yep.
To get out of it, so that it doesn't become the go-to like tag killer.
Yep. You could make it fizz. So tags are dodging on 11s, but the fizz is on a 17, so you could just make it fizz -6 or whatever. Or fizz -3. Give tags a purpose of having their high fizz aside from punching things.
Yes, because it with the 5 fizz, it seems like the tag should just be able to go like, rawr.
Yeah,
I break the glue.
The fact that tags have high fizz, but it is meaningless in 99% of circumstances is just so silly to me.
Yep.
I want to go punch that thing. Wham! Woo!
So on that note, adhesive grenade launchers. I don't know why they're not a thing. They seem like they should be a thing. Like normal grenade launchers aren't really used, but dealing a wound, like if you could spec fire and try and put 2 saves at a 9 or 6 on this guy, and then you could run up and do a classified on him or something, could be useful. Throw it in 012.
Honestly,
I think it's neat.
having looked at the models for adhesive launchers since the game was released, they look a lot like grenade launchers.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be fine just making giving adhesive launchers a template.
Yep. Sure. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Back in N3, stun grenades used to be a thing. I kind of liked them. Bring them back. Why not?
Yeah.
Flash pulses are good.
Yeah, the problem is I could never see myself really choosing in like the active turn to like speculatively throw a stun grenade.
My only, maybe if you're hitting 2 or 3 things in a link,
Yeah,
maybe as a way to deal with link team cores. That's almost like baby guided in the sense that I kind of remove you, but I'm not committing to throwing a picture and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I would just be concerned about bloat personally.
Yeah. As with all kind of niche weapons, they're not really on many things. Just an idea. They were in N3, they're removed, so they're probably not coming back, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I like this last change, though.
We had a massive talk in one of the Facebook chats about how HRLs are undercosted as buggery.
And are insanely efficient. I wasn't a part of this conversation. I saw it was being talked about. I saw 100+ messages. I'm like, I'm not back reading this because I can guess most of the talking points.
Yeah. So either cost them appropriately or maybe just remove the template. I'm not sure, but make a change to HRLs because currently they are incredibly efficient if you're not a Swick heavy faction.
I would say they're incredibly efficient if you have +1 burst natively or are in a fire team. I don't think there are a lot of HRL pieces that you would play solo on their own that are terribly over efficient right now.
Yeah, it's basically just like the Mark IV or like a Ryukin.
Ryukin, yeah, maybe.
Stuff like that.
But the linked ones are nuts. Like Kulaks are great, Surgats are great, like Haite are great. Like it is a very undercosted piece of equipment.
Yep.
As someone who enjoys playing the Alpha Sid in a Harris and enjoys playing the Suryat and Kaitox in a Link, I see nothing wrong with HRLs. They are the perfect weapon.
How much is a Suryat again, Nick?
36 points.
Mm-hmm.
That's not fair, guys. Let's be real.
The Swick cost is load bearing, Tristan.
Yeah, okay. The next one.
The fact that it's 36 points, I'm sorry, it's 36 points, it's 4 armor, 6 BTS, it's AP immune.
It's MSV1.
It's MSV1, multi-pistol +1 burst as well for some reason.
Multi-pistol +1 burst. Come on.
Yeah. It's the only one that has a multi-pistol as well, which is the most fucking ridiculous part of it. And a tin bot neg 3. just for the add-on.
On a side note, prior to BCB, we had a fair number of missions we were playing with different things that you had to destroy with DA CCW. Urion HRL, multi-pistol +1 burst, is a DA CC weapon, and he's in a fire team. So I managed to get him up to a burst 6 multi-pistol DA against an objective.
Excellent.
Nice. You know what? I think you should be rewarded for that personally. That's neat.
Yeah, make it
That's
cheaper.
Fun.
Why not?
Yeah.
The fact that it is like a viable Haris piece as well. Like I've played Haris Surgat HRLs before. You don't have to commit to like the ARO lock. Like you can run it in like a mobile Haris team and you have gun from like 0 to 8 and 16 to 32 on its own on lock.
All right.
So what was your next suggested weapon?
The next suggestion comes from the N3 guided missile bot. So for Jordan, you didn't know, we had missile launchers and we had smart missile launchers. And smart missile launchers were the only one that could do guided, and they had a
I have heard this before.
zero range band across the board. So my proposal is a sniper rifle that's burst 2, damage 15, hits on BTS, and has 0 range bands. Straight across the board.
Oh.
All weapons that just have 0 range bands across the board.
Okay.
I think it's
that could be
niche.
cool.
It's niche. It makes it. I'm not sure. Maybe like
Make it. It would probably be too strong. I like the idea of like a laser. It just it gives all models like limited cover or no cover, like one of those two versus it.
Yeah, possibly.
Like it imposes limited cover because it just shoots through the cover because it's a fucking laser beam.
Smoke counts as cover.
Yeah, smoke counts as cover.
Oh no.
There's some cool things you could do with that. I like that.
Yeah, I like the idea of a random weapon that has 0 at all range bands because it can catch anything in its bad range band, but it never gets great at it.
Yep. And maybe as a trade-off for having the 0 range band, make it half a swick less. Like a normal sniper rifle is only a half a swick in Harkislam or something.
Yeah.
Make it.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah. Make it a cheaper alternative that's a bit niche. It could be a tech piece to get rid of
like nano screen models or something. I don't know.
Something.
I really like the idea of it imposing limited or no cover on the model.
I kind of do too.
The more I think about that, the more I sell myself on that being really cool because it's a laser beam. It just shoots through the cover. You don't.
Yeah.
You do not get cover. Good day, sir.
So you're basically always on flat numbers unless they have mimetism or whatever else.
It's to who it may concern.
All right.
Is the weapon.
On kind of martial artsy tones, but make Prothean specific weapons. Stop eating people with D-charges. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Thank God they're nerfing D-charges to be DA instead of fucking explosives.
So long as that's not a typo.
Well, if it's a typo.
If it's a typo, yeah. Yeah, but I think Prothean specific weapons would be cool.
Yes.
It means you've got to choose between doing 3 wounds to a tag, or like doing 3 wounds to someone and completely blowing them up outright, or maybe having some people have an AP Prothean weapon and some people have a DA Prothean weapon kind of thing. And it means that Sheshkin or Norkius or whatever, or Caliban, doesn't run into CC with you and you CC back or let's say someone berserk, you can actually berserk a Caliban. You can berserk it and deal 3 wounds to it, and the Caliban's not going to deal 3 wounds back to you, and you explode, and he's like, I am healthy as shit.
Yeah. It's not a terribly fun. Yeah, you're like explaining to a new player that like they have carefully gotten their model into CC and they're berserking you, and it's like a Umbra Samaritan or Norkius, and you have to take that moment to be like, okay, great idea. You probably don't want to do this though.
Yes. Yeah. It used to be baked into the Prothean skill, so you have to use Prothean instead of martial arts. But make it a weapon. They make it teeth, claws, whatever.
Again, I could see that. Make it like a weapon. It'd be fine.
Yeah.
Like you literally have that now. We have Vorpal weapons in the game. Just make Vorpal weapons Prothean weapons.
Yeah, or just make it specific to individual weapons, not to CC.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And finally, more breaker stuff. Tying into something later where we might want, I think we should have different BTS levels that aren't 0, 3, 6, 9. Have more. I'm going to argue with you on that one. Okay, that's fine. Have more breaker weapons, because like we have AP HMGs. Why don't we have breaker HMGs?
Why don't we have K1 HMGs?
I think we know why we don't have K1 HMGs.
Well, I'm sure.
It would be fine?
Sure.
Are you sure?
It would be fucking insane. I would abuse that shit. I would swap factions for that shit.
Arguably, we have K1 marksman rifles.
We have K1 marksman rifles. We have K1
so HMG's only +1 burst. It's fine, eh? No, I'm joking. Don't do it, CB.
Don't do it, CB. It's a bad idea.
All right, Nick.
Okay, so I'd like to see changes to the kind of like trump card abilities to make them into higher penalties. So the abilities that say you just can't do anything about this into you can do something, just you are penalized heavily for doing it. So,
Yep.
for example, like making stealth into a -9 penalty to reactions. You can do something about it, but you're probably not going to succeed. That also opens up the door for things like Sixth Sense to ignore a portion of fixed abilities. So have it ignore -3 or -6 from surprise attacks, from stealth penalties. And now you can have more play in like how good is the model at stealth, how good is the model at surprise attack, and then you also open up the ability in the fire team's chart to say, like, is this a weaker or stronger version of Sixth Sense? How do they interact with each other?
Yep. I definitely like the idea of maybe stealth having different levels.
Mhm.
Sure, it might be bloaty, maybe, but
Yeah, no, don't. No,
no,
we're
but
not. We're
we
not going
already
to bloat
have
stealth.
we already have Mim 3, Mim 6. We have MSV
Yeah,
1, 2, 3.
stealth is
Yeah.
such a nice keyword as it is now. I like the idea of potentially making it like trump card abilities. They're not like you don't get to do anything, because again, Infinity is a game about you're always playing, right?
Yes.
Like telling your opponent, look, you're -9, but you still get to do a thing.
Mhm.
I like that. I think that's neat. I think there's a lot of play potential there.
I think there's a chance this might be in there because of how the spoiled silent pistols work.
Mm.
Yep.
The silent pistols have the silenced I think it's -6
Yep.
ability. So that's making me more hopeful that something like this will get into N5.
I think that's really cool. I think, again, if the fact that with how de-nested rules are now, CB
Mhm.
can just put -3, -6 next to an ability, and you can
Yeah.
sort of intuit what it will do.
Yeah. And for this, I think it could work just fine if it's limited to, say, like mimetism, -3, -6. Those are your two options. So
Yep.
you could have stealth -6, -9. Those are your two options. So it's not as overloading. You know that it's just is it the high or low?
Yep. I don't
So
particularly mind it.
We already talked about this second change you put down, though.
Have we? The train skills?
No, the Sixth Sense one.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
6 Sense.
Making Sixth Sense then either ignore a portion of reactive penalties for certain abilities. That way, you can now stack those abilities higher to try to overwhelm Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
So in your example of the Steel Phalanx team, well, if you can stack surprise attack plus visual mods plus this, you can try to overwhelm that Sixth Sense ability of theirs, and now you have degrees of ways to engage them, not equal footing, guided missile.
Yep,
Yep.
pretty much. Again, we harped on Steel Phalanx a lot. It is like every Link team though. Still, even something like a Fusilier missile launcher, getting a good fight against that isn't easy. Like a Zayaden missile launcher, getting a good fight against the Zayaden missile launcher is incredibly difficult, because the obvious weakness is it doesn't have MSV. You should be able to shoot it through smoke and impose some kind of penalty on it, but you can't because of Sixth Sense.
Yep.
The more I think about it, and I've thought about it ever since the N5 changes got announced, the more I am just convinced that Sixth Sense has just always been the problem.
Yeah, I could
strong.
agree that it covers too much and warps the game around it.
Yeah. Also, Tigers are fine with Sixth Sense. Legitimately. Like,
singular models with Sixth Sense?
Singular models with Sixth Sense are cool. I like that a fair bit, actually. As a way for, like, like vanilla factions of like a hacker with 6th Sense is super cool because it means you can't stealth through a repeater.
Yep.
I think that's super cool. I really like individual models with 6th Sense, but I think overall on a fire team, the ability becomes super problematic.
So next up on my wish list, terrain skill, or the terrain skill. Either make it competitively meaningful or purely thematic. So either, like, if you make it purely thematic, it costs no points, but it only comes up in like special like theme scenarios, that type of. We're not playing as a competitive tournament. We're playing for narrative.
Yeah.
The other approach would be make it competitively meaningful, so it's worth the points. One of the complaints I had about the last few ITS seasons was certain factions got advantages just because it was their season.
Yep.
You had Terrain Mountain now gives bonuses to whoever has Terrain Mountain. Terrain Mountain isn't exactly an evenly distributed skill.
Yeah.
Just like Terrain 0G, like some factions don't have access to it, and other factions have ample access to it.
Well, terrain total was the big one, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The pushback I will give you on that, if that's okay, is that in that season 14, you had the Master Breacher rule, which gave that ability to profiles, and I really thought they were going to do. I thought, again, ITS seasons are usually testing grounds for potential future changes. I really thought terrain was going to become something that mattered, because from what I saw, giving like the Master Breacher rule giving terrain total and then terrain total giving certain abilities was really well received by like the entire community. I think.
I've just thought of an idea, and I think this is coming up to what you're saying, Nick. I think this kind of makes sense. So we have the decompression zones.
Yes.
When you put them down, pick a terrain skill of your own. So if you're playing Hakkaslam, put down your zone and go, this is a desert zone. And then it's purely negative to your opponent, or it's purely negative to whoever doesn't have terrain skills.
Yeah.
And you can use it yourself. But then your opponent puts down their jungle or their mountain or whatever. And then it makes it competitively meaningful, and you can put it in half the ITS missions or whatever. And yeah.
I like it. Plus, it fits in a nice fluffy way with QAZ zones being these weird anomalous.
Yeah.
So you could end up with these weird zones in the middle of the battlefield where it's a desert or it's a swamp.
Yeah, just don't make it a dice roll. Like... Do not make it a dice roll, CB.
Yeah, please don't make it a
pick.
fucking dice roll. Oh my god, don't make it a dice roll. Holy
One other approach I had to making the terrain skill more meaningfully or competitively meaningful, increase the availability, like faction wise, of dazers, but make any terrain skill ignore it.
Okay.
So now it becomes a defensive ability that you want to include in your list. Like, is my opponent going to bring dazers and pop them in the midfield? If so, I need to have some models with a degree of terrain skills to accommodate that.
Sure.
Yep. Potentially there could be missions if you change how objectives work, that have a small dazer zone around them. Currently, I think some people don't want you to have to roll for objectives. I'm not super certain on if that's a good or bad change. Maybe make it, if you want to make a whole lot of skill or whatever, but have little dazer zones around them so that they're kind of part of the game and not part of two factions in the game.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
I think the big thing with terrain as well is that it really isn't going to take much for it to be like a really relevant skill. Again, in season 14, +1 move and super jump, that was fucking phenomenal. Like, people were actively looking through profiles in their army trying to find what they could give super jump to. And what they could give +1 move to. Like, that it wasn't much, but it didn't need to be much because just getting something for nothing basically was great.
Yeah. Final thing on my wish list. This is partly from dabbling with Onyx.
Oh yes. Give it.
Allow the pre-game use of a command token to activate an Evo program. Because a lot of times that Evo hacker is there to improve your ability to ARO.
Yeah, improve your defensive
Yes.
arrows.
And if you go second, you've lost a third of your ability to use that.
Yep. No, that it seems like such a no-brainer to add back in as well, because it was something that was there before. Unless CB found that like it was potentially too strong, but I really couldn't see it being too strong.
It was a side effect of, because you could only do it to Gadget 1 programs, it was a side effect of hacking getting squashed into less programs.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
I think you could easily just add it back in, and people would just resoundingly love it. Like you'd
Well,
have some amount of people being like, "Oh, TR bots are too strong now." It's like, ah.
compare it to, you can use a command token before the game as second player to put a model in suppressive fire.
Yeah.
I think that is roughly equivalent, because with the Evo hacker, you could either like give the marksmanship to your TR bot, or you could give extra reactive burst to a remote.
Yep.
Is this applicable first and second player?
I would make it
I would
second
make
player
it second
only.
player only.
Yeah, okay.
So similar to the expenditure to put a model in suppressive fire.
Yep.
And it would be still balanced out by, I'm not able to spend the command token to then subtract orders from them.
I think if you actually gave it to first turn, it would maybe actually be too good.
Yeah, I'm thinking because you're
giving them
basically saving, you're giving them O12 on
Yeah.
their first turn, and we've just got rid of
Correct.
O12.
Yeah, giving them a free order, and especially when if the missions where Evobot's already given additional regular order,
Mhm.
I feel like if you're going first and you're able to do that, it's a little bit too good.
What do
Yeah, agreed. It would
people
have to be a player 2 ability.
what do people think about spending multiple command tokens before the game in turn 2 for different things?
No, I
No?
like one.
Uh,
I like the one.
from what
It's
I've, sorry,
it's too much overload it's too much overload as well for people. Like your like command token usage I think is already extremely high right now. Like people are really sort of playing more regulars I think than almost ever before. And I think that having to also then think about, oh, what happens if on turn 2 my opponent is able to strip orders from me, and stuff like that will lead to like weird game lockouts as well. Like if you have a good first turn and you like kill 4 or 5 of your opponent's models, you can come very close to just
I
locking
don't
them out of
mean
the game.
every turn. I mean at the start of the game, letting you spend multiple command tokens for different abilities just for the first turn. So I can strip 2
No.
orders, and I can put something in suppressive, kind of thing.
I
No?
would say no.
No?
That's still a no.
Part of those abilities, each of them is powerful and balanced by the fact that you can only pick one.
Sure. Yep. Perfect.
On the additional use of command tokens, I'm enthusiastic to see what CB is going to put out, because from what we've seen so far, it sounds like there will be similar to the before game, there will be a list of things that you can choose once per turn to use a command token on.
Yeah, like the speedball stuff and whatnot.
So yeah, like the speedball thing, I think that's where O12 Prestige may end up.
Yeah, true.
Balanced by, you can only pick one of these things once per turn.
Right.
So if you choose the speedball for reinforcements of weapons, you can't O12 Prestige. That type of thing.
Yeah. Also, Tristan, like, could you imagine as like first turn player, like, I'll spend 2 command tokens, hold 2 additional models in reserve?
No, not the same ability. Not the same ability twice, because then you'd spend all 4 command tokens to hold 5 things back.
Yeah, but then you would need to give like more things for the first player to do, because right now it is really like the only one they can do is holding the additional model in reserve.
Yep. No, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just feel like maybe if you overload the choices, so maybe if you add the Evo one, get rid of the suppressive one because it's really niche.
The suppressive one is so niche.
It's only really used for maybe like armory and I'm got a unit in front of it, like I don't know. If I know something's going to be charging at me, I put something in suppressive, or I can see something from the spot that I've put something, I put in suppressive. Because realistically, taking 2 orders is going to be more valuable 99% of the time.
They've struggled to come up with anything that is like a higher EV than just stripping 2 orders.
Yeah.
I agree the suppressive is niche, but I think it's still worth having there.
Yep. All right.
But partly also because the list is pretty short.
Yeah.
And you're right. Almost every time you're stripping orders. But it's nice to have that ability, and it gives an additional layer of skill to players to recognize when it is that 1% time to not strip orders.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. All right.
Yeah.
Little changes.
Oh, buddy.
We talked about the first one. Two saves for adhesive. Currently,
I'm a fan.
currently you see model like 012, kind of Ivory described it. You see a riot stopper, and you're like, why can't this just be a chain rifle? It's kind of just ugh. It's not really a threatening template at all.
Yeah, it's especially in a game where like lethality is king too.
Yes. Yeah. So I think flash ammo going from N3 to N4 has really taken has a purpose and is really strong for the lethality, like the non-lethality that it has. So give something to adhesive. EM is bullshit. I hate EM.
No, EMCCWs are bullshit.
Even EM templates, 2 saves at half BTS from a single template is really good.
It is, but it doesn't deal a wound, right? If EM I don't know, man. EMCCWs are just so overtuned. Like,
if you compare it to, let's say, an adhesive template, it's 1 save and it's -6 to get out of. EM is 2 saves at half BTS and it's -9 to get out of, or -12 if you're like a hacker or a HI or whatever.
-12 if you're a REM hacker or HI, I think.
And it
might actually only be like REM. It might actually only be like REMs, HI, and tags.
Yeah, it might not be hackers, but it's severely worse, and it's harder to avoid.
Yeah, EM in general needs like probably a tune down. EMCCWs are fucking.
EMCCW is the best CCW weapon in the game.
It's not fucking close. It doesn't have anti-material, and there's like 2 missions that care about that.
Yep.
So if you increase, so you've got 3 non-lethal ammunitions there. You've got flash ammo, so you've got stuns, adhesives, and EM. Leaving EMCCWs aside.
Yep.
By increasing adhesive to DA, does that balance the field more? If you say if you made adhesive DA and then you removed AP from EM,
yep.
Now they're all DA. Yeah. And that's now a standard for non-lethal and makes that a more viable alternative to, say, the chain rifle. We're like, well, I can do 1, and if you pass the save, oh no, if you fail the save, you're dead. Versus now you've got 2 saves, but the penalty isn't as severe.
Yeah,
that gets a big thumbs up from me.
Yeah, I personally would just remove the additional rider on EM, where if you are one of those types of troopers, you are also fucking immobilized. Because remembering what those troops are and like when it comes up is so stupid and niche. It's like it's just this weird, unnecessary extra sentence I think they felt like they had to add. Just cut it off. Being isolated is enough. -9 is enough of a fucking net modifier.
Yep. In any regard, tone down EM a little bit because it's probably tied for maybe 2nd best template, and it's definitely best CCW weapon.
It's best CCW weapon by a fucking mile.
Yep. Utility hacking. When we stripped hacking from the game, we've used it for 5 years or so now, and it's kind of getting a little bland. I definitely liked U-turn. It gives value to adding hacking device pluses into your list that aren't just there to throw down white noise. Disabling equipment is interesting as well in terms of dealing with maybe those link team things. If guided isn't as good an option, you can maybe try and turn their MSV off, or turn their mimetism. I don't know, turn a piece of equipment off. I'm not sure, but I don't know. It's an interesting way to approach dealing with a unit.
Having played N1, when each piece of equipment had a can this be disabled by EM or not, and every weapon had can this be disabled by EM or not, it's a nice concept. I wouldn't touch it.
Doesn't work? Okay.
I think it opens up too large of an additional information overload to give that extra stat to too many things.
What about changing it to disabling deployables as a hacking program?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So basically, deactivators,
Yeah.
but with a hack. Yeah.
But you could do it through a repeater, essentially.
So you could shoot a picture on top of a repeater and disable their repeater.
Yes.
Or disable, maybe disable a crazy koala, or discover a mine from 30 inches away and then try and whatever. I'm not sure.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah. And I think Josh suggested this one, Zero Pain having stun ammo. I kind of like it too. It means you're not just throwing out dice to defend yourself. Because
I think in general, just Zero Pain should be on more profiles.
I like the idea of turning Zero Pain into a non-lethal defensive program, not just a dodge.
Yes.
Because I've had a lot of discussions about how do you make Zero Pain interesting enough to include in a more basic hacking program. And it's been everything from Zero Pain can arrow against hacking programs targeting models in that model's zone of control. But I think the cleaner version is make Zero Pain a purely defensive but non-lethal. And now it's not just a case of I'm going to just keep dodging. It's I'm going to try to stop you from hitting me, from doing anything more this turn.
Well,
and now
it is a dodge -3 though, isn't it?
It's neg6 to your opponent, and it's 2 dice.
Is it neg6? I thought it was only neg3.
I could be wrong. I thought it was neg6.
Are you thinking of the fact that Pandora is dodge neg6?
No, I was looking at Zoe.
Oh, I thought it was neg3. I could be wrong.
Let me double check.
Zero Pain is a -3 to the opponent.
Okay, there you go. I'm wrong. Yeah, so it's, what is it? Neg3 burst 2?
Yeah, neg3 burst 2 in arrow.
Yep. So
give
it stun ammo.
Yeah, making it like a flash pulse, making it a hacking flash pulse is cool.
Yeah, and that could provide an interesting program to use offensively. As well.
Yep.
Yeah, for like regular hackers, yeah.
Correct. Yes, like a regular hacker, you can't kill them, but you can do the stun. So it's kind of like it's a temporary messing with their equipment.
You can disable them more reliably and then walk your tag through the repeater or whatever, and have no fear that it's going to get hacked.
Well, it lets you like turn off HI as well, right? Which is cool. It's another way to interact with those otherwise hard to interact with link teams.
Yeah, and it would have the benefit that it would end up being burst 2 and DA, but it doesn't. It's non-lethal. It clears the state at the end of your turn.
Yes,
and you're paying SWIC to get it, so it's not like it's broken in the sense that it's burst 2 DA. You are spending SWIC, and it's probably not going to be on many profiles either, or it might be only on hacking device pluses, or if they bring back white hacking devices or defensive hacking devices, or it might be on Evos.
They're not going to bring back extra hacking devices.
I would put it on Evos, because currently right now Evos don't really have a way to defend themselves.
Yeah. Evos just get Zero Pain, and otherwise it's an upgrade for a hacking device, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
Though if Zero Pain gets stun ammo, I don't think Zero Pain is the appropriate name for it anymore.
Well,
yeah, no, it does Zero Pain.
0
You
pain
don't
to
temper-
me.
You don't,
Oh,
yeah, you don't lose a wound. I just throw pocket sand at you through cyberspace.
Yeah.
Temporary pain.
Yeah, you just get like
Uh,
flashbanged by Dale Gribble.
Yeah.
It just shows up on your hacking device. Pocket sand.
Add non-lethal anti-hacking equipment like nullifiers. So
Hold on.
nullifiers used to be a
Hold on.
thing.
We just,
Oh,
we
wait,
just
wait.
skipped,
Oh, I
Skipped
missed
one.
one. Oh my
we
god.
skipped over like the
It
most
was
important
so
one here.
irrelevant that you skipped it.
Remove or improve useless niche equipment such as
Yes.
biometric visor, morphoscan, and albedo.
Biometric
Albedo.
visor is the stupidest piece.
Yep.
Honestly, 360 visors as well. They're so overcosted for what they are.
Hmm.
Like, either make them cost less points or remove them. They're so overcosted currently.
I would argue that 360 visors are good in their current rule set, but they're overcosted.
Yes, they're overcosted.
They have a role in the game, and they fill that role nicely, but the cost to get them is too high to make them worth that.
Yep.
And yeah, biometric visor is stupid. Like, morphoscan is a cool concept. It doesn't work. Albedo, you could do so many things to Albedo to make it good. Like, it is not strong enough to where you couldn't just let it be active for the entire game.
Yep.
But like, there's a couple different ways you approach it. Like, one that I think would be interesting: don't let it expire, but instead of white noise, it's a visual mod that only applies to MSV models.
Yeah.
So you could have like albedo -6, and it means that MSV models firing at you have a -6 visual mod that they can't penalize.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
inverse. It's just inverse mim, and that's perfect.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
I love that. Like, it's so easy to make Albedo good
Mhm.
when right now it is so bad.
I actually think it's easy to make morphoscan good. Just allow yourself to make the roll when you combat jump. So you drop down, or you act, or let's say, unfortunately, I don't think you can kind of do this with the camo version ones, but just put your drop troop down and morphoscan for free when you drop, if you drop, kind of thing.
Well, with the camera ones, you could just, as you become a model on the table, right? Because they're not a model, they're a marker.
Make
so
it basically
when it reveals it morphoscans.
Basically, make it free.
Morphoscans.
Make it free.
Yeah.
How about make morphoscan a total order that cannot be ARO'd?
You could do that.
Yep. I
So
don't mind.
like, it's still like more investment, but you don't have to defend yourself while you're trying to morphoscan.
And there's not a chance it's going to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, biometric visor, either just make it free, make it just cost negative points, or make it auto-discover impersonators. Because if it's supposed to be a hard counter to impersonators, and a lot of people don't have impersonators, just make it the really hard counter. Impersonators are still amazing.
I love the idea of, like, yeah, it's a counter to impersonators. It's like, yeah, man, my Shukra consultant lieutenant, he's gonna be like corner guarding, and he's gonna see that Fade coming, and he's gonna be like, I'm gonna discover the shit out of you. The Fade's like, yeah,
I'm
cool,
gonna discover
template
you on flats.
Yeah, on
You're like,
flats. It's like, oh, cool. template
Great.
Hey guys, he's about to stab me. No,
Guys?
seriously, he's about to stab me. Look, he's right there. Ow.
Yeah. Like, guys, I think Bob from accounting might be bad. No, he was at my wedding. No, I think Bob from accounting, he's got a sword, guys. It's like, no, I think we're good. Oh, wait, he's dead. Oh, no, Bob from accounting was evil.
Okay. Only thing I can come up with that might make biometric visor worth something, just make it a flat plus to discover.
Is
That's
that
it.
Yeah.
A flat plus to discover could just be an ability by itself.
Yeah, it would just be
Yeah,
Discover
like,
plus 6 or whatever, or Discover
Yeah,
reroll.
or
Yeah.
like, make it discover plus 3 and plus discover plus 6 against impersonators or something like that.
Even then, I don't think
But-
it's any good. Like, it just...
It's still probably not
yeah,
worth many
correct.
points.
Yeah,
I
like,
agree,
because the way to deal with impersonators isn't to discover them. It's like you wall them off with like a Libertos. Like,
Yeah.
you win the die roll. Like,
Yeah.
You force them to go through multiple layers where you can discover them with pieces you don't care about.
yeah, like you force them to go through like your ablative defenses, and you make their approach as difficult as possible.
Mhm.
And the biometric visor, it just doesn't factor in at all. It's a neat idea that for some reason costs points.
How about this? Now, this might sound a bit stupid as well. Let you delay against impersonators, like you would delay against camo. Nah.
But can't you already do that? Because it's a marker state.
Can you? I guess.
You can. It's a marker,
Yeah.
even though it's the only difference between it and a camo marker is that you can't like template it
Yeah,
basically.
fuck it. Make it auto discover, and it costs negative points.
Yeah. Honestly,
Hey.
if it literally had the rules text, it was literally MSV3 for impersonators, I still don't think it would be good.
No, it wouldn't. But yeah,
That's how like mediocre and bad a biometric visor is. You could literally make it MSV3 for impersonators, and I still don't think people would take it.
Yeah. Oh, I think people take it because they want the model that's on, and they're willing to give up the points that biometric visor costs.
Yeah. Yes.
yep. Remove biometric visor from the game and make the first level of impersonation neg3 instead of neg6.
Well,
Boom.
you could do. I don't even. Yeah, I don't particularly think impersonators even need a nerf or a touch up. But
On that note, one of them does. Jan Star. Make it so that if you're using the impersonation skill to deploy beyond the halfway point, you have to be a marker.
don't let Jan Star take a state issued friend and a state issued bomb.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
If you're using the
remove that.
impersonation skill, you have to use the entire impersonation skill, basically.
Yes.
The fact that Jan Star is just the best impersonator because Jan Star can also do X, Y, and Z it's too overtuned.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay, for the second time, add non-lethal anti-hacking equipment like nullifiers, anti-pitches.
Just let people ARO. Just let people ARO against pitches.
Yep.
Like if you you throw your pitcher, it's like okay, cool. It's like okay, I'm gonna activate my hacker. It's like okay, cool. This random guy who can see your pitcher is gonna shoot the pitcher. Like that would solve a bunch of problems.
I agree.
It means you need to be a lot more careful about how you place your pitches.
Yeah.
Instead of just going, just get it as close to the link team as possible. Go.
Yeah.
This is a good place for your hacker deactivator program comes in.
Yep.
So if they drop the pitcher in, your response is to try to deactivate it as it drops.
Maybe not as it drops.
I don't think that works with how the rules currently work in terms of like the resolution of things.
But
it would have to be on when they activate the hacker to do a thing.
I kind of agree though. It's like someone tries to Trinity an interventor, and you go, I'm gonna live. I'll just hack the pitcher.
I'll just cast a deactivate. I'll cast off switch.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I think letting you ARO against repeaters and the potential, the off button hacking program, both are cool ideas.
It adds another layer of deployment, keeping sight lines on certain spots. Yeah. So currently right now, if I can't see the guy shooting the pitcher, I can't do anything about it. But now that you have to think about where you're putting the pitcher, if you want to get more than one hacking attempt through it, it adds another layer of skill there.
Say it with me, kids. Granularity is really, really good. More options is more gooder.
On the note of more options, we have to remove an option. Double unconscious NWI, the dogged interaction. So ignore not going NWI on your first unconscious state and choosing to do it on your second unconscious state is stupid. Unintentional massive buff of NWI.
It's unintuitive as well because the way you read that makes your first pass of that makes it seem even more broken as well. Because the way it reads like you should get 2 levels of NWI instead of just 2 levels of unconscious. But then it works this other way, which is still good, but it reads way worse and is way less intuitive.
Yep.
Yeah, it should be removed 100%.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's only a couple things in the game that get it. The big ones being the Sujan and the Darwon. But yeah, it feels bad when a Sujan takes 3 saves, fails all 3, and is still alive at NWI. You're like, is that really how that should work?
Yeah.
Yes. CB said.
And I could see just making it. There's a lot of ways I could think to approach it, and the cleanest one is NWI dog can only trigger if you end the activation, wounding, whatever, on unconscious 1.
Yes.
If you go to unconscious 2, you're at unconscious 2.
Well, just can't you you can make it like how like NWI and Dogged would currently interact with like the unconscious state. You can be in one type of unconscious state. You can either be unconscious level 2 because you're Rempres, or you can be NWI. But if you choose NWI, you can't then take 3 wounds and still be standing up.
Yep. Okay.
You just roll it all into unconscious, like one unconscious state.
Basically make those negative feedback with each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, negative feedback. That's the one I was looking for. Because NWI and Dogged already, negative feedback with each other. Like, they negative feedback with the unconscious state.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like, yeah.
We talked a little about pitches, but maybe make pitches max 24 inches.
I think you were generous here. I think pitches should be like shotgun range bands. Like,
you reckon?
You should get like, it should be like +3 +0 or +0 +3.
Well, shotguns go up to 24.
I would say that I expect pitchers to go the way of grenade launchers and lose all positive range bands.
That doesn't help me. Because it's still going to be -6 to fucking 32 or whatever.
Oh, fair. Like, I think it deserves
Jordan is still going to
approaches
activate
as well.
Bitten Kissed.
It is kind of weird, though, that certain things get the +3 range band and grenades lost them, when a pitcher is basically a grenade launcher.
Correct.
It's because grenade launchers carry a lethal template, right?
Yeah, and pitchers are probably more lethal than grenades nowadays.
I know what you mean, but that's what the reasoning would be, right?
Yeah, I agree.
One carries a lethal template, one carries arguably a better lethal fucking ball on the ground. I think you were generous. I would hard lock pitches to like 16 inches, and then you can make the plus and minus range band whichever one around you want.
Sure. All right, Jordan.
You could always do the N1 solution and bring back shadow zones.
No. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds stupid.
I know. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know what that is, but then, like, you said N1 and you fucking lost me.
Okay, so one of the defenses against grenade launchers in N1, because they had positive range bands, and a heavy grenade launcher, which existed, had absurdly good positive range bands. You couldn't target a spot with a spec fire within a distance of a wall equal to half the wall's height.
What the fuck?
No. Fuck no.
It was a beautiful rule
Brutal
that was
Cities tables. Trent would be like, I can't shoot a grenade launcher anyway.
Spec fire. Yeah.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah.
Incredibly realistic, horrible rule for a functional war game.
Nick, you'd round 1, the table would be fine. Round 5, everything would be fucked because everyone's tape measures measuring the height of all the walls.
Yeah, the table, like every piece of terrain has moved like 3 inches minimum. Like,
silly.
Pitches are the problem. Like, the fact that you can throw a pitcher 32 inches. And if you have that +1 burst, you make up for any sort of negative modifiers.
Yep.
Like, I know a lot of people really complain about the fucking Heckler Boy. The Heckler Boy is counter-deployed by a fucking Libertos. Like, that mine still goes off if he's in his camo state.
Yes, the Heckler is better than pitchers in terms of interactivity.
Yeah, in terms of delivering him, he is 100% guaranteed when he says he's going to drop the fast panda goes down. You can make it very difficult for him to get to the best spot to put the fast panda, or make him spend way more orders to do it.
Yep.
Would hard capping pitchers at burst 1 help?
Yeah,
I mean, like a
again,
little, like you've still got like what Bit and Kiss, where it's like, well, it's
Yeah,
two models that
but
shoot at the same time.
I think
which
it's
kind of
yeah.
that's the problem with it,
Yeah,
right? Is that
it does help with links.
yeah,
I don't think the problem is you can get burst 2 necessarily. I think the problem is you have the potential to do it, and there's always going to be games where you end up rolling the 5 in the first 2 orders or whatever.
Yeah.
Looking for personal experience, it happens a lot more. So I've remathed it out. It's a 45% chance on the first order, and you are a little bit. I think it's like you are over the 2 orders. You're like 60% to get it down. So it's super likely.
Yeah. And it also just means that your pitcher units have to run up the table to shoot the pitcher.
Yeah, the range locking it just sort of makes it so you can't spend 2 orders and like launch a pitcher 30 something inches.
So you say
I
increase the risk you have to take with the model who is planting the pitcher.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right, Jordan. I'm ready to fight. More granular BTS, not just multiples of 3.
No, because 3 makes sense. Like
Why?
3, because the number goes 369. You never need to. There is never a question of like, oh, do I have 4 BTS or 2 BTS or 3 BTS or 5 BTS?
But
it's do I have 3, 6, or 9?
But we have armor, and armor goes 1 through 10.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
It makes
so why
armor and
can't-
BTS because it makes armor and BTS markedly different. There's a difference between armor and BTS.
I think it's silly that there are only 5 numbers of possible BTS.
It's fine.
What's the 5th one?
0, 3, 6, 9, 12.
Oh, we have a 12?
BTS
Ops.
9 through pitches.
Oh, sorry, Spec Ops, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
BTS 9 through pitches is the most common.
Yeah,
So an
BTS,
interventor through a pitcher or whatever.
Well, no, because that's BTS
Oh,
9.
yeah,
with
whatever.
cover.
Fucking shut up. That's stupid.
No, it is different.
Yeah,
There's a difference.
It's fucking yeah, sure. It literally has only makes a difference on like Mirror Problems who has Trinity AP. That's it.
It makes a difference, and I will have that difference acknowledged in
that
this
proves
house.
my point even more. There's only 4 numbers of BTS, which is shit, okay, good, and amazing. That's it.
and it's fine because it makes it different from armor.
Nah.
Because then in that case, why not just make armor and BTS the same fucking stat?
Multiples of no,
Because they're 2 different attack vectors.
yes.
But then I like them being different in the way that one of them is granular and one of them goes up in chunks of like your defense against these like usually space magic, but sometimes BTS breaker ammo types.
It's totally a holdover. Stacking. It's totally a narrative holdover of
that's fine.
Where it's fine, but I think it could be better.
I personally don't see the like that making it better. I think it's fine as it is. I think it's nice that it's the easiest thing to teach a new player as well. Is they're like, oh, what's my BTS? I'm like, it's going to be one of these 4 numbers every single time.
Yeah.
And it's usually going to be the 3.
If players can deal with armor, they can deal with BTS. Like, it's literally the same thing.
I think making it more granular opens up more interaction with it. So you can now have more things that will interact with more breaker ammo to have in the game if you have the ability to have models that have more granular BTS. So you now, like, you could have a 5, you can have a 2, and that allows breaker ammo to target different things as you would say you AP versus like a 5 armor or 2 armor.
I think primarily for me it's like hackers. Mm-hmm. So a BTS 3 hacker is okay. BTS 6 hackers are considered good, and BTS 9 hackers are like, oh my god. There's only like, I don't know. Is there only one in the game? Is there another BTS 9 hacker? I don't remember. But just having
There probably is. I just can't remember
But
it off
just
the cuff.
having the ability to have like a BTS 4 hacker or a BTS 7 hacker.
You know who's BTS 9? Cornac.
Yes,
Exactly.
that's what I was thinking about.
But
He's Cornac. Just to go completely off topic for it, Cornac is the profile in the game. He has the most just random shit on that fucking profile that every game you'll discover that Cornac has some new ability that you never knew was on that profile before. He has Berserk. Look
does
at
he?
him go.
He has Berserk.
Yeah, he has
Fucking
Berserk.
Jesus.
Oh wait, hold on. Am I
Oh,
lying? Is he
No,
got Berserk
no,
or
I think you're
Frenzy?
lying.
He has Frenzy,
I don't.
Oh,
I,
he's
but
got
think,
Frenzy.
I think
he
you're
might
lying.
have Berserk as well. I'm not
No,
sure.
I don't think he does. I don't
Oh
think he
man,
does.
was I lying?
I think
was
you
probably
are.
He has
lying.
Berserk and
I,
Frenzy.
no,
He
has
does?
Berserk. He has Berserk and Frenzy. I was
What the
right.
Reese should have berserked me yesterday.
Yeah, he's got Berserk. He's got Berserk, Dodge +1, Frenzy, Shock Immune, Natural Born Warrior, NWI, Religious Troop Veteran. He's BS 14, which is the highest BS in the faction, along with their
Yep.
tags.
Mm-hmm.
It's a higher BS than like the Soggerat.
Mm-hmm.
He's Armor 3, BTS 9. His
no
coat
reason.
is really good against space magic.
Maybe
And
he
he's
should
medium
be
infantry.
less good.
He doesn't even need it most of the time.
And he's medium infantry, so he literally doesn't need it.
Yeah.
All
On
right.
top of that, veteran, so half the stuff is he immune anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm so sorry to take us completely off topic. Cornac is always just a fun one to bring up.
Cornac
It's like,
is
why
great.
is this profile the way it is?
All right. I'm going to appeal finally to the Pano fans. Let the Yodam be Armor 10, BTS 10. All right. Let's move on. Just Toha farts.
I'm willing to be an old man yelling at a cloud over the fucking BTS thing. That's
Make-
fine by me. I'll be
Make
the old
Toha
man.
farts disposable.
Yes.
Holy shit. At least make Mirror Ball disposable. At the very least.
The fact that Toha can just opt entirely into not playing a game of Infinity if the mission allows for it is ridiculous.
Yes.
Oh, I have decided I'm not going to play a game of Infinity today. We're playing supplies. Fantastic. Mirror Ball, Mirror Ball, Mirror Ball, Mirror Ball. Punch the crazy creature, grab box, hide in a building. Oh, you're getting close to me? Mirror Ball, Mirror Ball, Mirror Ball, Mirror Ball, Mirror Ball.
Yep.
Have fun.
Ridiculous.
Would making it just be white noise, or making it just be smoke, help with that, or does it just take away the what's
No,
unique?
because the problem as well is that you have linked Eclipse as well with the McCools.
Oh, okay.
So you've got the best of both worlds. You have Zone of Control Eclipse, and you have two dice 16s Eclipse.
I don't mind that it's
fair.
Eclipse, and I understand why grenades are unlimited because, you know, you have to throw them, but you have to see where you're throwing them.
Yeah, that's not having to see where you're throwing it is insane.
Yeah.
Isn't that just spec fire?
Yeah, which is at -6, but Mirror Ball's just flat whip. So,
Okay,
like,
fair.
I
And
don't
you
know.
can't spec
Oh,
fire in
and-
ARO.
That too.
And a spec fire is a complete order.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's a bit silly. And I understand it's
Yeah,
Tohan's thing, but like if you have like 4 models with it or 3 models with it and
Mhm.
they're unlimited and you can do it in ARO through a wall, huh?
Yeah.
Come on. It seems against the purpose of like Infinity in terms of dice rolls and risking and interactivity and, you know.
Okay. Yeah, that's a fair. It turns off the interactivity of the game, which is one thing that Infinity excels at.
Yes.
It's again just being able to opt into I'm not going to play a game of Infinity today is like ugh.
Yeah, it's almost like what Jordan mentioned before, where like playing 40k, you can almost walk away from the table. If you don't have anything on ARO and you're playing supplies or whatever, and let's say the QAZ creatures Val placed it and it's it's in his DZ or some shit, you just go, hey, do you mind if I spend, you know, I'm just gonna go, you know, chill at the bar for 30 minutes. Do you want to play your turn?
It's literally that. It's like I don't know, man. Like, can you just roll this like 7 orders that your tack wheel has in group 2 and see how many mirror balls you get down? And like, if it's less than 4, I guess we can play a game of Infinity.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, this one might be a bit controversial amongst you guys. Change how camo v camo interacts. Currently, how it is for people who are kind of haven't done it before. If you have 2 camo markers and the active turn camo marker activates, the reactive turn camo can delay. And now the active turn camo can only discover, in which case he's getting shot for free, or he can just keep moving and do nothing. So
Yeah.
Uh,
No,
if you
I'm
want
actually
to,
on
if you
your
want
side.
that camo to attack the other camo, you're going to have to first skill discover, which will reveal you, and the opponent still can either not choose to discover or can just reveal itself to be a template thrower or something. It can do it's stupid and it forces you. It flips the power dynamic in a weird way.
I'm on your side here. I think that Infinity is a game. Even it is everyone's play. You're all playing at the same time. The active turn is supposed to have a lot of the advantages in terms of like you're supposed to have the advantage in terms of putting a decision on your opponent, and it's a really weird thing where for some reason your opponent gets all the power in that sort of one niche circumstance.
Yeah. So just making if you not allowing you to delay. So if your camo chooses to reveal and let's say preemptively declare shoot or something, that's fine. But if you can't do anything and then I go to shoot you, you're a camo marker, I go to discover you, you've lost your ARO, so I get a free discover. Now we're both revealed. So it's just a regular thing from that on. I don't know. It's real feels bad, man, when it's like Shaz versus Tack, and there's a shitload of camo everywhere, and I'm a camo marker. I go, I'm gonna have to reveal myself to get more efficiency out of dealing with camo markers.
Yeah, it's a weird. Explaining how like camo works to like a new player is already a bit of a head fuck for them. It's like, wait, if I do this, I just don't get to do anything. It's like, yep, pretty much.
Finally, make deactivators great again.
They're so useless now.
Yeah, I've never ever used one. Never.
I have to disable a crazy creature.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's really funny.
Yep.
Wait,
Because
so
quasi creatures are deployable weapons.
Do you have to have line of sight?
No, you don't.
Okay.
So you walked up, you copped the 3 punches and deactivated?
No, you just do it from flats from over 8 inches away.
Ah.
Like deactivators are actually okay. I know many episodes ago I had a negative opinion of them. After rereading them several times, they're actually not that. They're actually pretty decent. If you ignore
line of
the
fire to the
+3
target.
range band.
You need line of fire to the target.
For deactivators?
Yeah, it says the user of this piece of equipment must have line of fire to the target.
Oh, well, there it goes.
But they didn't.
It was updated in July 2023. But that part wasn't updated. That part wasn't updated.
That's why then. Okay.
But yeah, currently the fact that you need line of sight makes them dog shit.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, make them no line of sight again.
There you go.
And they're an amazing little niche piece.
Yes.
Yep. Look, I'm fine with the piece of equipment being good. That doesn't bother me.
Yep.
Yeah.
More options is more good.
Yep. More options, more good.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's BTS, in which case you should stay at 0. In which case you should stay at 0369.
Wow.
As God intended.
Wow. Okay. So salty about the BTS.
I don't know. You got my old man yelling at Cloud fucking going at that. And I'm like, no, don't you BTS is BTS.
Don't you want BTS 5 hackers?
No.
Don't you want BTS 7 hackers? BTS 6 hackers? You already have those. BTS 8 hackers.
Because BTS 0369. That's how BTS works.
Okay, sure.
For hackers, I would care a little. Hackers, 0369, sure. But I like the idea of having models that, like a generic grunt that has BTS 1. Or something like that, where now you're like, okay, so Nanopulsar isn't the best approach anymore to go and clear this basic infantry out, or something like that.
Yeah.
Not so much to affect the hacking game, but more like that little low level to help balance out any weapon that attacks BTS.
The thing is, though, the Nanopulsar would still just be the go, because they're like armor 4, so you're never going to chain rifle a grunt if you have a Nanopulsar.
Oh, not like capital G grunt. But
oh, sure.
like a line trooper So, like, a line trooper that is like armor 0 BTS 1.
Yep. Okay. Sorry.
Yes.
I don't know. It seems like the natural progression. Because we seem to be denesting more rules from lore as we go
Yes,
on.
Josh, you are entirely correct. There is no benefit to changing BTS from it. It is just making something more granular for the sake of it. Thank you.
There is
I
benefit.
am not alone.
There is benefit. There is legitimate benefit. That's like saying armor is in 0369 and changing it to what it is now.
Armor is
would have...
not in 03. It's
No.
armor is not currently.
But let's say you swapped armor to what BTS is now. That's a downgrade.
Well, because the thing is as well that there's way more things currently that affect armor than BTS.
So you swap BTS and make more things interact with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how many more things can you make interact with BTS?
Literally every weapon in the game. You just make a breaker or hit on BTS. Easy.
Well, yeah, you have to make it like, because breaker specific. If you just gave like everything AP BTS on it.
No,
or just
it doesn't have to be AP.
It opens up the design space for more interaction with BTS. Right now, 0369 is sufficient for the amount of stuff that interacts with BTS. But if you make it, or you allow it to be more granular, then you have more options to interact with it, like things do with armor.
I'm probably just being contrarian for the sake of it, honestly.
I honestly, I don't think it's going to change.
I don't think it is.
That's why it's a little change.
It's just me doing the fucking Incredibles meme. It's like, no, BTS is BTS.
Well, so you're like that about BTS. I'm kind of like a little bit about armor saves, to be honest.
Okay, sure.
Kind of a little bit like, I like my high armor saves. It makes sense to my brain.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense to my brain. I come into a game and I'm told, no, you want to roll like as close to the target number as possible, but not above it.
Yeah.
Except for this one thing where you want to roll 20s every single time.
It made sense to me because that one roll is you dying, and every other roll is you trying to kill something. So
sure.
Look, I've played the game for 8 years. It makes sense to me. So.
I get it.
But explaining it to some new players, they're like, "Why is this different?" And we're like, "Just cause."
Just cause. But yeah, honestly though, I do want to just because this wish list has been like tons of fun. Again, props to CD. Like a lot of the changes that I personally wanted to see were just announced pretty much off the bat. Like the changes to possibility of survival and announcing like the MA changes with them talking about the roll 2 dice, take the highest.
Yeah,
those are fantastic. Those are things
great.
I wanted in the game for ages. I had to think for a while to come up with the changes that I wanted.
On that note, near the end of the episode, anyone still listening to this, if you have any particular N5 content that you want Loss of Lieutenant to cover, send us an email, because we're going to be pushing content at N5 release, like I imagine everyone is at N5 release. And we'd like to make the content that you want to hear. So if there's anything in particular that you guys want to hear about, send us a message, send us an email, and we'll think about it.
And if you guys want to interact with us live while we're recording these episodes, instead of having to send us a message, if you join our Patreon over at Loss of Lieutenant and become one of our very valued cocks, you can interact with us as we're recording these episodes, and we'll answer your questions as you put them in our Patreon chat.
Love it.
As Josh has just requested.
Yes, the very specific faction review everything.
Absolutely.
We will get on that, and it might be a few episodes.
I'm not sure about you guys, but I'm really keen to just do a really stupid faction tier list, like a week after release, like first impressions, and just be like, throw shit on the table. And 6 months from then, like maybe after CanCon or something, we go, how right were we?
How wrong? No, it's how wrong were we? There is no rightness in that. It is just how wrong.
It's going to be terrible, and everyone will be like, "You were completely wrong," but it will be fun it will be fun as shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
What one guess did we get right?
Exactly.
I'm so excited to see the fire team rules. I want to see how far off base, like Rob was.
All right, guys.
Excellent.
All right, I guess
think
that
that
will
wraps it up.
bring us to the close of another exciting episode of Loss of Lieutenant, episode 120, our N5 wish list, the first of many more episodes to come about the upcoming Infinity N5 edition. For the last time tonight, I've been Jordan.
I've been Nick.
And I've been Tristan. Good night, everyone.
We'll see you next time.